The word evil alone stirs unease, a visceral reaction we can't easily explain. It's not something we define with precision, yet we recognize its presence instinctively. We feel it. Evil doesn't parade itself openly. It conceals. It wears masks of kindness and cloaks of false sincerity, thriving in places we least expect: schools, homes, and even spaces meant for worship. Its power lies in its subtlety, its quiet occupation of spaces we trust. When we finally see through the mask, something profound shifts. Evil doesn't retreat, it reacts. Its response isn't overt aggression, but calculated manipulation. This is what makes it so dangerous. It behaves in ways designed to confuse, intimidate, and regain control, often more through action than words. Let's take a closer look at what happens when evil recognizes that you've uncovered its facade. Together, we'll break down its behaviors and explore how to stand firm against its tactics with clarity and courage. 1. They give you strange vibrations. Evil rarely announces itself in plain language. It does not stride into our lives with banners or warnings. Instead, it manifests subtly through energy, a vibration that resonates uneasily in the spaces we inhabit. This discomfort is not a figment of imagination. It is a signal embedded in the frequencies around us. We exist in a constant exchange of energies, and those with harmful intent emit dissonance that disturbs our sense of equilibrium. Have you ever entered a room and felt inexplicable unease, as though the very air resisted your presence? This is the reverberation of malice, often imperceptible but deeply affecting. When someone with malicious intent realizes you can perceive their true nature, their behavior shifts almost imperceptibly. Smiles become masks, stretched too tightly across their intentions. Questions once benign now carry the weight of surveillance, probing for vulnerabilities. Every interaction transforms into a quiet battle, an unspoken declaration. I will not let you emerge unscathed. This discord is neither accidental nor incidental. It is a tactic, a mechanism to destabilize and exert control. Manipulation thrives in ambiguity, leaving you questioning your own perceptions and responses. I have encountered this dissonance personally. A colleague I once trusted revealed their true nature in fleeting moments of envy and quiet undermining. At first, it was subtle, a dismissive tone here, an oddly timed comment there. But as I began to detach, their response grew more insidious. They avoided direct confrontation, opting instead for quieter methods of harm. They watched, whispered, and wove narratives intended to erode my confidence. For a time, their actions consumed me. I found myself tangled in anxiety, questioning my intuition and replaying interactions in search of clarity. It took time, but I began to see their strategy for what it was: a reliance on my reactivity. Their power did not reside in their actions alone, but in my response to them. My distress became their weapon, amplifying their dissonance and allowing it to seep into my sense of self. The more I reacted, the more I anchored their energy within my own being. Here, the teachings of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus illuminated a path forward. We are disturbed not by events, but by our interpretation of them. This insight was not an invitation to deny the reality of harm, but a reminder of the agency we possess in shaping our internal response. The unsettling energy I felt was real, but its power over me was not inevitable. By grounding myself, I could disrupt the feedback loop of manipulation and reclaim my peace. Grounding is not a passive act, it is resistance. It requires awareness of the energies we absorb and the boundaries we set to protect our equilibrium. I began to notice the ways in which dissonance sought to root itself in my thoughts and emotions. Instead of reacting impulsively, I paused. I allowed the discomfort to exist without internalizing it. Slowly, I found that the power of their manipulation waned. Their efforts, once so consuming, became futile in the absence of my participation. The lesson here is not that we can avoid dissonance entirely. To live among others is to encounter a spectrum of intentions, some harmonious, others jarring. But we are not passive receivers of energy. We engage, interpret, and respond. The unease we feel is a reminder, not of our weakness, but of our attunement to the world around us. It signals where vigilance is needed and where boundaries must be drawn. Evil, in its many forms, seeks to destabilize. It thrives in the fractures it creates within relationships, communities, and individuals. But its success depends not only on its tactics, but also on our complicity. When we choose not to react, when we anchor ourselves in clarity and calm, we deny it the fuel it requires to grow. In this refusal, we assert our agency and preserve our peace. What remains then is a commitment to listen, not only to the dissonance around us, but to the resonance within ourselves. 2. They lie to cover up. Past lies. A lie is never an isolated event. It doesn't simply stand on its own. It multiplies, entangles itself into a complex web that is difficult to untangle. The liar, once entangled, finds themselves trapped, unable to escape the structure they've built. The lies accumulate, layer after layer, until the truth becomes nearly impossible to see. This cycle of deception is rarely broken with honesty. Instead, it's perpetuated by more lies, each one designed to cover up the previous ones. This behavior reveals a deep rejection of truth. It reflects a fundamental denial of reality. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely noted, man cannot learn what he thinks he already knows. Those who are ensnared by their own lies cannot learn, cannot grow, and most importantly, cannot see the truth. Their dishonesty is not merely a strategy for self-preservation, but a defense mechanism against the vulnerability that truth demands. In rejecting the truth, they also reject the accountability that comes with it. I recall a personal experience that illuminated this truth for me. A friend came to me claiming to be in financial distress. He told me a heartbreaking story, one that tugged at my sympathies. Without hesitation, I lent him the money he requested, trusting that he would use it for its intended purpose. But when the time came to check on him, I found out that he had spent the money on luxuries, things that had no bearing on his supposed hardship. When confronted, he didn't express remorse or guilt. Instead, he doubled down on his deceit, offering up new excuses, shifting blame, and making up stories that contradicted the original one. It became evident that his lies were not isolated incidents. They were part of a larger pattern, a way of life for him. His deceit wasn't just about avoiding responsibility in that moment. It was a mechanism he used to navigate the world. What struck me most was the total lack of accountability. Instead of acknowledging his wrongdoing, he found ways to manipulate the situation further, deepening the web of lies he had already woven. At that moment, Stoic philosophy offered me a valuable lesson. The Stoics teach that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond to them. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Lies can only disturb our inner peace if we allow them to. In the face of deceit, we are not required to engage in endless conflict or to hold on to anger. Instead, we can respond with clarity, wisdom, and composure. The truth, however, has a remarkable way of revealing itself. No matter how many lies are told, no matter how many layers are added, truth always finds a way to emerge. Lies are, in the end, fragile. And while they may seem to protect the liar in the short term, they inevitably collapse under the weight of their own contradictions. The liar may attempt to cover up past lies, but the truth will always outlast them. 3. They only come around when they need something. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to only appear when they have something to gain? They approach you with warmth and charm, but once they've achieved their goal, they vanish without a trace. When you finally see through their opportunistic behavior, the pattern becomes even more obvious, and their actions begin to feel calculated, almost mechanical. For these individuals, relationships are not about mutual respect or connection. They are about utility. They view others as stepping stones or tools to achieve their own objectives. When there is nothing left to gain, they quickly disappear from the scene. But when the opportunity arises again, they reappear, offering apologies designed not to heal, but to manipulate your forgiveness and reestablish the connection that serves them. I had a similar experience with a colleague who appeared to be supportive and caring when everything was going smoothly. He was always there to congratulate, to share in the successes, but when challenges arose, he was nowhere to be found. During times of crisis, his silence was deafening. But as soon as the storm passed, he reemerged, full of excuses for his absence. It became increasingly clear that he wasn't an ally, as I had once thought. He wasn't there for the partnership or the shared experience. He was a tactician, using his presence only when it was advantageous to him, and retreating when it wasn't. This kind of behavior is disheartening, yet it offers valuable insight into the nature of human interactions. It highlights the importance of recognizing when someone values the relationship itself versus when they see it as a means to an end. But, as Marcus Aurelius wisely suggests, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. There's no need to reciprocate their behavior with resentment or manipulation. Instead, the most powerful response is to simply let go. Their absence, though initially felt, makes room for more genuine connections, ones that are based on mutual respect and care, not opportunism. True kindness and generosity are strengths, but they must be paired with healthy boundaries. Without boundaries, kindness can easily be exploited. The key lies in knowing when to offer your time and energy and when to hold back. In doing so, you preserve your integrity and create space for people who value you for who you truly are, not for what they can get from you. 4. They try to make you feel stupid. Have you ever opened up to someone sharing your struggles or regrets, only to have them respond in a way that diminishes your pain? Comments like, "Why didn't you see that coming?" may seem casual, but they are far from innocent. This kind of response isn't just a lack of empathy. It's a deliberate tactic aimed at making you feel small, less capable, and uncertain of yourself. These words aren't meant to offer comfort. They're meant to chip away at your confidence, leaving you feeling isolated and more vulnerable to manipulation. Toxic individuals often use this strategy to control, not connect. Their goal isn't to build a supportive relationship. It's to make you doubt your own judgment and worth. By undermining your self-esteem, they create an imbalance in the power dynamic, positioning themselves as the authority, the one who knows better. They hide behind sharp, seemingly concerned remarks, using them as tools to keep you within their orbit, dependent on their approval and validation. In these moments, Stoic philosophy offers a critical lesson. We must learn to separate ourselves from these external attacks. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The insult, the attempt to belittle you, these can only hurt if you allow them to. Their words are nothing more than noise if you choose not to internalize them. The true challenge lies in standing firm in your own sense of self-worth. When you recognize that your value is not determined by the opinions of others, particularly those with toxic intentions, their words lose their power over you. The key is in your ability to keep your inner peace intact, regardless of the tactics others use to disrupt it. When you refuse to let others define you, their attempts to make you feel small fall away, leaving you stronger and more resilient in the face of manipulation. 5. They come with a new reputation. Have you ever sensed an underlying malice in someone who seems outwardly kind? If your gut has ever whispered this truth, you're far from alone. The most dangerous individuals often wear the most convincing masks of kindness, skillfully concealing their true nature. But their power doesn't solely lie in their disguise. It's in their ability to make you question your perception of reality. It's a chilling experience to feel that something isn't quite right, even when someone presents themselves as kind, caring, and sincere. Often our instincts tell us that there is something off about a person, but it can be hard to trust those feelings when the person seems to be acting in a way that contradicts them. This is exactly the strategy of the most dangerous people. They understand that kindness is a powerful mask. They use it to hide their true intentions and gain your trust, all while secretly manipulating your perception of reality. These individuals are not just deceitful, they are highly strategic. They are often playing a psychological game, but the game is one you might not even realize you're involved in. Their actions are carefully calculated to keep you uncertain about what you are seeing and feeling. Their words are not just meant to deceive you in the moment, they are aimed at warping your understanding of the situation entirely, so you end up questioning yourself and your judgment. When the mask begins to slip and you start to see through them, they don't confront the truth. They don't apologize or admit to their wrongs in a straightforward way. Instead, they act quickly to rewrite the narrative, to shift the focus away from their behavior and onto something else, something that makes you doubt your own perception of the situation. Their apologies are not honest or simple. Instead, they are complex, often filled with emotional detail, designed to pull at your heartstrings and make you feel as though you are the one who misunderstood or overreacted. I've had my own experiences with people like this. One in particular was someone I trusted deeply, someone who, on the surface, seemed like a genuinely caring person. But when I confronted them about a betrayal, their response was anything but straightforward. Instead of admitting what they had done, they spun a complicated story of hardship and personal transformation, making it seem as though their actions were justified by their circumstances. The more they talked, the more I found myself second-guessing my own judgment. I began to wonder if I had misunderstood the situation, or if I had been too harsh in my assessment of their behavior. This is exactly the tactic they use to maintain control. They don't seek to repair the relationship in an honest way. They seek to keep you entangled in their story, to keep you questioning your own instincts and feelings. They manipulate your emotions and thoughts to ensure that they remain in control of the narrative, even when the truth is staring you in the face. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. These individuals know that if they can manipulate your thoughts, they can manipulate your reality. If they can make you doubt your own instincts and perception, they can control how you see the situation, and by extension, how you react. This is their true power, not the mask of kindness they wear, but the ability to bend your perception of reality to fit their agenda. So, what is the antidote to this kind of manipulation? It lies in maintaining a clear mind and unwavering judgment. Stoicism teaches us the importance of staying true to what we know. Even when others are trying to cloud our understanding with their stories and manipulations, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it usually is. Recognize when someone is trying to manipulate your thoughts and emotions and resist the pull of their carefully crafted narratives. The key is to hold firm to the truth, even when it's being clouded by deception. The truth doesn't need to be complicated or dramatic. It's simply what is. When you trust yourself and stay grounded in your own perception of reality, you cannot be easily swayed by their attempts to control you. Remember, you are the keeper of your own thoughts and experiences. No one else has the power to change that, unless you allow them to. 6. They act like they don't know what they are. Toxic people rarely admit to their mistakes. Instead, they pretend they don't know what they've done wrong and act like they're the victim. Their goal is to make you doubt your own feelings and what's happening, leaving you confused and unsure of yourself. For example, when you try to explain how hurt you are, they might respond with something like, Why didn't you tell me sooner? This shifts the blame to you and makes you feel like your feelings aren't important. I once had a friend who I confronted about something that hurt me. Their response was, "Oh, I didn't realize you felt that way." They said it in a way that made my pain seem unimportant and made me wonder if I was overreacting. But over time, I realized they were just trying to avoid responsibility. It was a way for them to escape blame without truly acknowledging how I felt. As Epictetus said, we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by how we interpret them. Toxic people may twist the truth, but you have the power to stay firm in your own reality. Their fake innocence doesn't have to make you doubt yourself. Don't let them make you feel like your feelings are wrong. Stay strong in what you know is true. 7. They try to manipulate you. Manipulation is a silent storm, eroding your confidence and autonomy. It often comes cloaked in concern, love, or advice, making it harder to recognize. Manipulation is like a quiet storm that slowly wears away your confidence and control over your own life. It is often disguised as love, care, or helpful advice, which makes it difficult to see the harm it is causing. The person doing the manipulating might seem genuinely concerned, but their true intentions are to control and influence you without you even realizing it. Imagine someone close to you, like a family member or a friend, who always seems to care about you. They offer advice that sounds thoughtful at first, but you start to feel confused and unsure of yourself after listening. This is exactly what manipulators do. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind and make you question your own decisions. They want to make you feel weak and dependent on their approval or guidance. I remember a story from a woman who shared her experience with her mother. Her mother would always subtly discourage her from getting involved in relationships. "Are you sure they won't hurt you? Think about your past mistakes," her mother would say. These words, wrapped up in concern, were actually meant to make the woman afraid and insecure about trusting others. Her mother was not offering protection, but rather trying to keep her daughter under control by using fear and self-doubt. Over time, these comments caused her to question her own judgment, keeping her from making her own choices. Manipulators are skilled at finding your vulnerabilities and using them against you. They don't just notice what you're insecure about. They use it to make you feel weaker and more dependent on them. They create a sense of helplessness, where you start to believe that you need their advice or approval to make decisions. This dependency is what they want. By making you feel powerless, they can continue to control your choices and actions. But real strength doesn't come from relying on others. True strength comes from mastering your own thoughts and feelings. Stoicism teaches that we have control over our minds and emotions, even when we can't control the people or events around us. By training ourselves to think clearly and act with confidence, we can protect ourselves from manipulation. One of the most important things you can do to protect yourself from manipulation is to set clear boundaries. Boundaries are limits that tell others how you expect to be treated. When you set boundaries, you're telling others what is acceptable and what is not. But setting boundaries is not enough. You must guard them carefully. Manipulators will often try to push past your boundaries, using guilt, charm, or promises to get you to let your guard down. If you let them, manipulation will succeed. Remember that manipulation only works when you allow it to. A strong, clear mind is not easily swayed by tricks or tactics. When you trust yourself and your decisions, manipulators lose their power over you. Reclaiming your independence and confidence is the first step in breaking free from their control. Stand firm in your boundaries and know that your thoughts, decisions, and life are yours to control.